Welcome to the second episode of the Edgewood College Athletics 2019-20 Stories of the Year. Today we look at one of our three conference championship teams from this past season, and that's Eagles women's tennis. And joining us today is head coach Bubba Schultz. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks so much for having me, Brian.
All right, so the first, maybe most important question is going to have nothing to do with tennis. I heard you got a dog at the start of this whole basically quarantine. How's that going?
It's been great. It keeps my kids really busy. It's my first dog that we've owned as a family, so my girls are really happy. They've been helpful, but it's a lot of work, but well worth it.
What kind of dog?
She's a mix. Mom was a lab, and they're not sure what dad was, so we're kind of playing the waiting game because she keeps growing. And my girls are at the point now, if she grows too much more, they won't be able to pick her up. So they're like, I hope she stops. I hope she stops.
Good stuff. All right, let's get into the past women's tennis season. Another great year for the Eagles, 13-3 overall, 9-0 in conference, a second straight regular season conference title. I'm curious, you had a great team coming back. How did you guys handle the expectations coming into the season?
We were obviously expecting big things. We returned kind of 1 through 4, and then we were getting Allie coming in, which we knew that she'd fit right in. So I think kind of when we started, we're like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of competition between our team. What is our lineup going to look like? And once we got that figured out, then we were able to go forward and kind of play some of these matches. But it was fun to have those high hopes. Obviously, the way the season ended was not what we wanted. We still had more to accomplish.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Yeah. How was that dealing with that in the spring? Tennis, a unique sport that you guys split up your seasons, and your conference tournament was in the spring. You guys would have been a heavy favorite, a very good chance at going back to the NCAA tournament. So how difficult was that knowing that you lost another chance at a great spring?
It was really difficult. It was so hard because it happened so fast. We had such a great fall. The fall season was fantastic. We were really excited. The spring, obviously, kind of winter spring, it's a little bit harder. Late night practices. We're kind of just getting into the most exciting part of the season. We were, getting ready to leave for spring break, go play some matches outside in warm weather against some good teams, and then come back for that home stretch. I know the girls and myself we were just really excited. So to have it end so fast was really difficult.
Mm-hmm. I want to talk about the fall a little bit more. There's two teams really, I feel like, that join you at the top of the conference, Illinois Tech and Concordia, Wisconsin. And specifically CUW is kind of that team you guys had to jump to get to the top. Talk about those rivalries and the top of the league and just how the intensity of those matches.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's great for us and for the conference. IIT joining was fantastic. Eric's a great coach, and he's put together some really good teams. So to have another kind of really intense duel has been fun and exciting. I think, in my couple of years here with full seasons, we've really, tried to schedule some tough matches early on in the season to kind of see that level. We look forward to those challenges. They're kind of the highlights of the season.
You had a great senior class, Alicia, Alyssa, Sydney. I know there's a couple of them are planning on coming back now with the season, but let's talk about those three as a whole. What did they mean to this program?
Well, a ton. I mean, they've been here longer than I am. They've really helped me settle into the job. Obviously, the longer you're around, they've helped with the people coming in, and we all wanted to kind of finish this year on such a high for them, for our team, but also for them and all they've done for the program. Hopefully, you mentioned a couple of them are hopefully coming back, but it makes it even, more difficult for the season just to end knowing that, for some of them that's it.
Let's look ahead now to next season. I'm assuming the expectations will say high. Obviously, we're not sure what maybe that season will look like, but I did put the schedule in this morning, actually, and it looks like you guys are going to challenge yourself early, some difficult non-conference matches. What's the outlook for you for next year?
Yeah, I mean, it's still not quite sure. Hopefully, like we talked about, we'll get a couple of those girls back. I'm going to have a much bigger team next year, so I'm looking forward to that, rotating some lineups, and we are going to start the season, if we're able to, with some really tough matches. That's always good for us to kind of see where we are, and sometimes so we know where we want to try to get to, and then we'll settle into the conference, and hopefully, just like the last couple of seasons, those early matches kind of really help us prepare. And then when it gets to the conference ones that are important, we can continue to have the success that we've had.
You mentioned the bigger roster. How can that help not only maybe in matches, having maybe players focus on singles and doubles, but how can that help in practice and preparing?
Yeah, it's really going to give us more competition. We can do a little bit more things at practice, having larger numbers. Sometimes, I mean, just the competition for a spot is great. I mean, we haven't experienced it really where any of my players have really taken it easy, knowing like, oh, I've won this spot. And now they for sure can't do that because we have a bigger team that will be able to challenge and keep, we're always going to keep pushing to try to improve, and people want to move up.
Awesome. Well, that is our second story of the year. This was Coach Bubba Schultz talking about the Eagles women's tennis team. We're going to continue this series throughout the summer. We're going to look at all three of our conference championship teams, as well as some other top stories from Edgewood College athletics. But for today, Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.